Welcome to Juneteenth. HCC celebrates freedom through the arts. Join us as we examine a piece of American history that far too long went untold or unnoticed. On June 19, 1865, more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, freedom finally reached enslaved African Americans in Galveston, Texas. That day became known as Juneteenth. It's a day marked by celebration, yes, but also by reflection. It's a reminder that justice can be delayed, that progress is often uneven, and that freedom in America has never arrived all at once. Now, 160 years later, we follow the work of muralist Reginald. His Juneteenth murals and his public art in Houston are helping put this history in plain sight and give a voice to the past in a language that the present can understand.
Well, I'd like to say I'm the little boy who loved to draw, who never grew up. So I've had a love affair with art really my entire life. I think I had to become an adult before I realized I needed to nurture that little boy who loved to draw. But I can think of so many moments as a child where my creative abilities were being kind of embraced by my either immediate family or school friends that saw innately I could draw anything I'd put my eyes on. And I think when you see a child so in love with something they enjoy doing and creating, I think we're all kind of drawn to that. I was nurtured in that, and that never changed until today, where people still celebrate and enjoy the artwork that I get to create. Well, I can think of one pivotal experience that I had when I was probably about 5 years old, and I was in kindergarten. At that time, my drawing abilities were exceptionally developed for a 5-year-old because I was always drawing my action figures, cartoon characters, pretty much anything that stood still long enough, I was going to try to sketch it out. So I remember the assignment for the day was all the students were challenged with learning their basic shapes and basic colors. And we were all given about 8 or 9 different crayons, or maybe the small box of crayons, and paper to then transfer what we saw on the wall onto our paper, draw our basic shapes, draw a square, triangle, circle, etc. And I was really excited because I had, a trick up my sleeve. So as a teacher is making her way throughout the classroom and she makes her way around to me, she's giving other kids direction. I was done by the time she got to my desk. And I remember her asking for me for my paper, and she raised it above her head and she was like, "Everybody, I want y'all to look at Reggie's work." And then she begins to tear my paper into pieces, and I'm devastated. She then takes my crayons and she crushes them, and all the other kids are kind of like, what's going on? And it was a very riveting moment. But then she then tells the students the reason why she destroyed my work and that I needed to start over was because I did not follow direction. I didn't do exactly what was asked. What did I do? I took my square and I turned it into a cube. I took you can draw a square and connect the ends. I took my rectangle and made a prism. I made my triangle into a pyramid and shaded, used the crayon to shade the sides. I took the circle and made a sphere. And I recognized, even though it wasn't exactly what she asked for, I hadn't done anything wrong. And so I recognized even then as a child, there will be people who are going to project onto you their own insecurity, doubt, inhibitions. And that has not stopped happening, but I'm much more sharper on catching those Crayola crushers in our lives. Well, when I got to Houston in the early 90s, one of my first major commissions was to honor late Congressman Mickey Leland. And I was one of a team of 6 artists that was commissioned to design what was an acre of land once his old congressional office in the Kashmir Gardens neighborhood. We were to turn this into a landmark honoring his legacy. So very early, my work became rooted in raising the voices of unsung fallen heroes, Black icons, early. And I found myself following in similar work over the course of the years where I would be invited to paint murals honoring different historical figures in the Black community. And so in 2020, when we were invited to create the mural in Galveston, Texas, the birthplace of Juneteenth, that really kind of solidified my role in knowing that public art was going to be my tool in helping tell the story of Black history, the pursuit of freedom, and ultimately what has now formed the Absolute Equality Juneteenth Mural Project. To be able to see that your artwork is speaking to such, one, a broad audience, because when you put public art in the public realm, when you paint a mural on the side of a school or a building or a park, no matter who you are, you get access and exposure. And so while some may try to ban a book, you can't ban public art. You can't ban the stories that come in public art. And I've learned the value of, as an artist, to have that type of platform. So when I started thinking about what do I want to put into my messaging, because I have such an outward platform, the story of my culture, the story of the fight for freedom became even more important. And so to be able to do this kind of work in the public realm is critically important, especially as we see a lot of voices and histories being erased, being diminished, and sometimes just ignored. And being able to put that history into the public setting in such an outward way is very important to me. There's so much information that's out here right now. We're living in this like intensely digital, infused, social media driven society. And it's hard to know what's true. It's hard to know what's factual. And as a Black American, as an African American, a lot of the media that portrays people that look like me isn't positive by and large. And so to be able to tell the stories of folks, ancestors, others who have fought for freedoms that I get to enjoy, the privileges that I get to appreciate as an artist, to do what I do, to make a living off of my creativity, I know it's part of my responsibility back to them, back to the efforts that they've made to paint these stories of people that look like me doing positive things. And to be able to do it in such an outward, open, public setting, I hope only inspires young people to know that they're more than what they may be told or they may be shown they are in mass media. For someone who may be completely unfamiliar with Juneteenth, what I hope these murals do is start a conversation. Perhaps open a door to learn about perhaps somebody in the mural. Maybe it's a historical figure, maybe it's a setting in one of these murals, so that that individual may be able to expand their own understanding of moments in time in American history that oftentimes are never really taught or maybe even spoken about. And we hope that each mural creates that type of conversation, new dialogue within those communities, so people can really understand it wasn't just about a day that something happened, but really about this era of time where we move from a very dark age of enslaving people to this space now where we have these freedoms, but even now that we have them, what are we doing with our freedoms? And I would hope that the murals are inspiring enough to create those types of conversations. I remember when we were in Galveston bringing the mural to life, and there was a team of 6 of us. The mural's at the old Galveston Square, the intersection of Strand and Kempner, right Main Street, Galveston, downtown Galveston. And we were about 90% done with the mural, and it was a beautiful Saturday morning. A lot of folks on the Strand taking pictures and videotaping us painting. Mind you, there's 6 artists in hydraulic lifts basically painting along this giant wall, 5,000 square feet of building canvas. And there was this overwhelming sense of just pride that came over me when I saw these people looking at what we're doing. And I made this connection around 160 years ago, my ancestors were being traded like cargo in the very building that I'm painting their story of liberation. I would have been their wildest imagination. I would have been their craziest dream that in the future, a Black artist would be compensated to paint their story on the same building, they were being traded. And so I'll never forget that. It becomes a driver for me, a motivator, that I'm not doing this for Reginald's portfolio or for the media attention, which is great and it's beautiful and my mom loves it. But this is really to inspire other children so that they could see themselves and understand the greatness of their own culture, the greatness within themselves, and hopefully not be afraid to pursue their own dreams. And that moment reminds me that I cannot give up, no matter how hard it becomes, in telling these stories.
Before Juneteenth became a national holiday, before it was etched into our calendars and honored across the country, it lived right here in the heart of Houston's 3rd Ward. Emancipation Park stands as sacred ground. In 1872, just 7 years after the last enslaved people in Texas were freed, Reverend John Jack Yates, a formerly enslaved man turned visionary leader, led a group of Black Houstonians to purchase 10 acres of land so their community would have a place to gather and celebrate freedom. That land became the site of Houston's first Juneteenth celebration, a tradition that continues 160 years later. The legacy lives on not just in the soil, but in the spirit of the community, resistance, and the joy that defines the space. Today, Reginald Adams Public Art in Emancipation Park honors Reverend Yates and the many others who helped make this place the birthplace of Juneteenth celebrations. So a lot of people would argue that absolute equality is something that is just not our lived experience right now. So in theory, on the books, we have absolute equality, right? Like in writing, we have absolute equality.
Those are the two important words in the orders. And in fact, it was placed there on purpose by a General Emory. Gordon Granger didn't write the order. It was written by Emory, a general who was an abolitionist and didn't support slavery, and he made sure those two words were there. So it is a goal, and we know that they say the world isn't perfect, we know, but equality to the level of all the Americans should be the focus, and to at least reach the level of everyone else.
This is something, there are these pieces, right? Like we know little pieces of it about Juneteenth, especially growing up in Texas. But there's so many things that we just don't know about the history of that specific day, what led up to it. And I would assume that that's why you all felt it was so important to really codify the history in a way that allowed more people to learn about it. So tell us a story about how Galveston got a permanent exhibition here for Juneteenth.
It was really after George Floyd's death. The whole world saw what happened, and I guess people start thinking about what they've been told or why they didn't understand it, or what was happening. And eventually I think they discovered Galveston as the birthplace of Juneteenth. And GHF, Galveston Historical Foundation, they literally had to stop everything they were doing because they were getting so many telephone calls, emails, texts, people just walking in the office and asking about it. And because we knew the story, and we know also the few people who thought they knew the story had information that was not correct. So for us, it was Dr. Jones, the director, met with our committee and said, we need to do something to tell our story and be sure to print it in a way that is based on real research. So that's how we ended up with the exhibit. It would have been in the main building of Ashton Villa, because right now this is the carriage house. There Ashton Building is in need of a great deal of work. So to place it there and they begin working on it, we'd have to move it. So we placed in this small space as much information that we could find.
Why do you think it still matters to commemorate Juneteenth?
Bottom line, it's a large portion of American history. And when you say celebration doesn't have to be that you're going to a parade or having a banquet and all that. It's just a matter of understanding. Personally, I feel if it's just a day that you want to relax and reflect.
The Juneteenth Legacy Project, what is the background on that project and what does it focus on?
The Juneteenth Legacy Project was formed in the fall of 2020 with co-chair Sheridan Lorenz. She seed funded the project so that we could complete the mural in Galveston to expand the narrative around the Juneteenth story. So that project began after another mural was completed here in the community of the Planet of the Apes, and several community members were upset about it. We tried to get the property owner to take it down. When he would not, I started looking for a larger wall to do a new mural that was more positive. Eventually, someone recommended an artist out of Houston, and then we commissioned the team, and they completed the mural in April of 2021.
And what is the Juneteenth Legacy Project?
The Juneteenth Legacy Project was organized in the fall of 2020 to complete a mural project here in Galveston at the southwest corner of 22nd and Strand, one of the most historic corners in the history of not only Galveston, Texas, but American history and world history, where General Order Number 3 was issued on June 19, 1865. So the project was started to expand the narrative around the Juneteenth story to tell a more complete story.
And what attracted you all to, now this location in of itself was very important to tell Juneteenth's story, but what attracted you all to partner specifically with Neocultural Center?
Well, the Neocultural Center is a longtime nonprofit in the community, organized in 1992, led by Ms. Sue Johnson, the executive director. So after the unfortunate murder of George Floyd, there were a lot of new nonprofits that popped up. Many of them were sucking the air out of the room and the resources of new donations. But we wanted to partner with an existing organization so that we could help them to elevate their organization in the community. So instead of competing for those dollars, we partnered with the Neocultural Center and Ms. Sue Johnson.
Take us back to the unveiling of the mural and what it meant for it to be installed 3 days before Juneteenth became a federal holiday.
It actually was completed in April of 2021. And then we had the dedication on June 19th, 2021, which was 2 days after the bill was signed into law. So being on the southwest corner of 22nd and Strand, where the Juneteenth story began. So Juneteenth has kind of grown up, went to college, traveled the world, worked all around, but the birthplace of Juneteenth is Galveston, Texas, and that began on the southwest corner of 22nd and Strand in the Osterman building. So to have the community come out and see the unveiling of a more inclusive narrative of the Juneteenth story. Well, the Juneteenth Legacy Project is the mural. It started the project. I mean, this is a Galveston, it was the genesis of the work that is being done to tell the story all over the country. As I said, Galveston is the birthplace of Juneteenth. People read about Juneteenth, they watch videos on Juneteenth, but I often say it's like reading about swimming or watching a video on swimming. At some point, you have to get in the water. So when you come to Galveston, you're in the Juneteenth water. You're immersed in the story. You walk by the historic locations of the port, of the southwest corner of 22nd and Strand, of the other locations in the city. And what we hope individuals do is they leave inspired. It's not that we're trying to pass the torch to another individual or another group, but we're trying to take our torch and light the torch of others so that the room becomes brighter and that light drives out darkness and ignorance. So the work to use art, technology, historians, teachers, community organizers like Ms. Sue Johnson, parents, children, adults, all of that is a piece of the puzzle or mosaic that creates an imagery of inclusiveness and equality for all. So we hope the Juneteenth Legacy Project inspires individuals to do the work to become more knowledgeable, to do the work to be more light, and to do the work to teach the full history and not just the limited history that we've been given.
And so much about Juneteenth and celebrating the past kind of frames freedom as a final destination, right? But the story of freedom is not over. What does freedom mean to you?
Freedom is not an individual stage or state of being. Throughout your life, you're going to grow, you're going to enter different stages, and what represents freedom to you at 5 years old is different at 15. I'm dealing with a teenager right now. So, and then 25, 30, 50, 80, and 100. At the end of our lives, freedom is being free from the things that have held us and restricted us in our body, right? Spiritually. But for me, freedom is being able to live your life on your terms without restrictions by others, right? And being comfortable with even freeing yourself from the bondage in your mind of the things that you have allowed to limit you. Life is limitless, and I believe that we should pursue those things and pursue that freedom even past what we consider our existence in these spaces, in these bodies.
HCC celebrates freedom through the arts, where Reginald Adams offered a powerful reminder of the importance of art education and collective action. Be sure to take the time to treat this as more than a holiday. Visit the murals that are a part of Reginald's Juneteenth mural series. Go to the Juneteenth Museum in Galveston. Visit Emancipation Park in Houston, and watch more programming like this. Stay curious. Let's honor our past, celebrate our present, and work towards a future where freedom truly thrives. Thank you for joining us for this special presentation.